What if I could test your skill level in just 10 minutes? Would you take the test? It may show technique problems that you've missed since you began to play guitar. Think about it. A few minutes from now, you could finally gain real insight into why you're stuck on a plateau that is way below your potential. Would you take the test? Right now? If not, why not? Is it fear? Maybe you'll learn that you don't have the talent to play guitar. Well, I don't think that's it. Since talent is a combination of hard work and motivation, that fear would be unfounded. In a couple of minutes, you'll learn something that will move you forward as a guitarist faster than you ever believed possible. You may think that the lack of progress is because you're not motivated. You could be unmotivated because you're not practicing correctly. You may think that improvement will happen when some exotic playing technique is learned, or maybe you're missing a music theory secret. I'm here to tell you that you've been looking in the wrong direction. You're looking forward when you need to be looking behind. The most advanced players don't lose sight of fundamentals. When Michelangelo Badio says that to play fast, you must practice slow, he's not revealing a mystic Zen secret. He is simply explaining what has worked for him, how he became one of the fastest and most technically proficient guitar players on the planet, and possibly in the universe. Now, we won't know the answer to that until we learn if the universe is inhabited by life forms capable of multi-limbed shredding techniques. When I first created Metal Method guitar lessons in 1982, I wrote a catchphrase for our magazine advertising. Well, actually, come to think of it, I used the slogan even before that to build my private guitar lesson business. This is that ad. It was in the Los Angeles Recycler in 1981. Now, near the bottom, you'll find my slogan. I explain, I can teach what you want to learn. If you read the ad, you'll see that I was offering an entire month of weekly lessons for just $25, and the first one was free. Private guitar lessons did not make me wealthy. Hardly. By the next year, that slogan found its way into Hit Parader, Cream, and Circus magazines. Let me show you that I'm teaching what you want to learn. Well, since I had more space in the ad, I decided to throw in a few more words. Not a good idea. Still, within a year, I had sold over 10,000 guitar lessons in more than 100 countries around the world. By this time, my slogan had evolved to a concise phrase. I teach what you want to learn. 10,000 lessons in a year just shows that it's easy to sell people what they want to learn. Since then, I've changed the slogan to, I teach what you need to learn. Now, there's a difference between want and need. Trust me, need is a tough sell. We all know what we want. We're often afraid of what we need. Even more often, we're unaware of what we need. There is a mindset today that if I want to learn something, I'll just Google it. And hey, I'm right there with you. I learned some amazing things from Google searches. If we actually knew what we needed to become a better guitarist, we would already be there. A lack of motivation isn't caused by laziness. It causes laziness. We're unmotivated from disappointing results. This is caused by following incomplete or incorrect instructions. Because of this, we're frustrated by failure, which doesn't motivate us to practice. It motivates us to put the guitar in the closet and go back to our video game where there are worlds yet to conquer. And unlike guitar playing, you have the skills to conquer those worlds and waste massive amounts of time. What we want are shred guitar techniques. What we want is to play guitar like a pro. What we don't realize, to get there, you first need to master fundamental techniques. You need to play in time to the beat. You need to play notes that sound in tune. You need to bend strings exactly the pitch, not flat or sharp. These are fundamentals that most think they mastered years ago. I can't tell you how many times a guitarist has sat in front of me that hasn't truly mastered even the simplest of techniques. For example, most guitarists think that they mastered the hammer-pull technique as a beginner. As I observe them performing this technique, I see a half-hearted slap at the strings. It looks like a hammer pull, but it sounds weak and will always sound weak no matter how much it is practiced. It must be understood that the technique isn't a slap. It's a solid hammer on, then the string is plucked. And that's what even experienced players are often missing. Until you truly understand and perform fundamental techniques properly, you will never master guitar. Sturdy structures are built on solid foundations. When I examine students' playing technique, I often observe that they can't play a scale accurately with a metronome at 70 beats per minute, yet they're trying to play this same scale at twice the tempo. It won't work. The result is fast, sloppy playing. They don't want to practice using a metronome because it's hard. It's hard because they're not competent at playing in sync with a beat. I'm going to help you correct this fundamental today. Are you ready for the simple 10-minute test that will begin to move you forward? Yes, you are. Let's get started. First, you're going to need a device to record your guitar playing. Now, chances are you've got an app on your phone, and that will do the trick. That's all you need. So, play a click sound from a metronome, drum machine, or other app. I recommend using the metronome GP file that's in the course materials. Be sure that the click is loud enough for you to hear clearly. Your guitar tone should be clean, no distortion. Distortion hides flaws. Play your favorite pentatonic pattern using 16th notes with the metronome. Gradually increase the speed until you're close to your max tempo. Now, don't play so fast that you're making obvious mistakes. Once you're comfortable and able to play in time with the click, begin recording. Keep recording until you're satisfied with the performance. That's all there is to it. Now plug in some headphones and listen closely to the recording. If that doesn't give you enough information about your playing technique, and it probably won't, move the file to a computer to take a look at it. Chances are quite likely that you'll find your playing to be both ahead of and behind the beat. For instructions on how to analyze your recording, read this document. Now, don't expect to fix playing technique until you learn where it's broken. By taking time to learn how to analyze a wave file, you'll understand what and how to practice to move forward. Exercise 1 is the 4th pentatonic pattern. Next week is the 5th and final pattern, so we're almost there. As recommended in the accuracy test, let's practice without distortion. Occasionally record the performance and do a waveform analysis to see if you're playing with the beat. I include a click track on this exercise that sounds on the 8th note instead of just the quarter note. The reason for this is 75 beats per minute, as you've probably noticed, is difficult to play in time with a metronome because the tempo is so slow. When I'm playing at a slow tempo, I tap my foot on the 8th note because it's easier to stay in time. Even better, I prefer to play with a metronome that is clicking on the 8th note. This might require you to double the tempo to 150 beats per minute. The Metronome Guitar Pro tab that I include with each lesson gives you a variety of clicks to play along with. The quarter note file is fine when tempos are more than 90 beats per minute. Even so, that depends on if you're playing 8th notes or 16th notes. Once I learn an exercise, I don't even bother opening the associated tab file unless it has like a backing track with it, and then it's necessary. You also find that it's easier to practice 8th note triplets when using the quarter note triplet Guitar Pro tab. Exercise 2 includes 2 different simple sequences. The first sequence is a pattern repeated on 3 strings. The second sequence is the same pattern repeated on 2 strings. Both of these are great as the basis for improvising leads. It's very easy to add some additional licks to make these sound interesting. You now have 4 different sequences that are great to run through while practicing these patterns. This will reinforce the pattern shape and make practicing more interesting. Here's the first sequence. Here's the second sequence. Third sequence. Fourth sequence. Exercise 3 is a review of the 4 patterns that we've worked on for this series of lessons. In exercise 4, we add 1 more lick to the lead that we've been building over the past 4 weeks. I hope that you'll take the time to study the fundamental techniques that create the foundation for exceptional playing. That's what I am focusing on in my course revision. Don't stop with this simple test at the beginning of this week's lesson. Check the accuracy of string bending. Plug into a tuner. Look away, bend the string, then look back at the tuner. How did you do? Okay? Record and listen to your vibrato. Above all, record and evaluate your playing constantly. It will expose technique flaws. Stay on this path, and what you want to learn will become what you need to learn.